Hello, I'm Dr. Harper. This video is an Operations Management BANA 3000 Section E01 Spring 2021, and this is an exam study guide. So let's bring up the exam study guide. Now in this exam study guide, first of all, the exam will be online, multiple choice, timed, open book, and open notes. And so the open book, open notes, this guide is part of the notes. And so I will tell you in this guide exactly how to study for it, what to study, in some cases exactly what the questions will be, but the numbers will be changed. And so this was part of the preparation to do well on the exam. The exam will be over 6 course topics, 20 multiple choice questions, 1 point per question, and 60 minutes to take the exam. No collaboration and no internet. Okay, and then I say it again here, the summary, online multiple choice, timed, open book, open notes, no collaboration, no internet. Each student must take their own exam and with no help, help of any other person. You take the exam yourself with your notes, with your information, and no collaboration with any other person. Exam is over 6 course topics, and I'll show you what they are in just a minute. 20 multiple choice questions, 1 point per question in 60 minutes. No exam accepted after the end of the course. And the exam is designed for evaluation. In other words, I'm not going to try to ask you things you don't know or try to figure out. I'm going to try to ask you things you should know, and I'll even tell you the types of the area of the question, and in some cases the exact question. I copy the information from the syllabus will be given during this course. Each student takes their own exam, and collaboration is cheating and represents academic dishonesty. If academic dishonesty occurs on the exam, the student will receive a 0 for the exam. Any incident of academic dishonesty may be reported to the Internal Affairs Committee of the Business School at the University of Cleveland for further action. Again, no collaboration. For the exam, no material other than the course material is allowed. And the course material is the homework and the notes and the lectures and the textbook and this study guide and all the information you use to learn. But nothing outside of the course like online. No communication devices such as cell phones, laptops, external communications are allowed. No help from another person, physically, remotely, or virtually is allowed. And each student is required to take their own exam from their own knowledge of material learned from the course. No exam taken will result in a 0, and no exam will be considered after the end of the course. Okay, let's get into the exam design. The exam will be approximately distributed among 6 topics, at least 1 question in each topic. For example, the topic 1, which is definitions, questions 1 and 2. There'll be 3 through 6 in forecasting, 7 through 11 in aggregate planning, 12 to 15 in inventory, and 16, 17 in MRP, and 18 to 20 in scheduling. And here's the actual breakdown. And there's going to be qualitative questions, and there's going to be quantitative questions. And you notice this table right here shows you the breakdown between the two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 qualitative questions, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 quantitative questions. So for topic 1, chapter 7 here, the 2 questions are process strategy and crossover problem. And so this gives an overview. Now in each one of these, I'm going to go through each one of these, all 20 questions, and show you the exactly how to study for those questions. Sample exam. The sample questions and answers presented in this sample exam represent examples. Wording and values in the actual exam questions and answers can vary from this sample exam, but exam questions will be based on the material represented in the sample questions. The sample exam presented in this study guide is merely for instructional purposes. For example, the correct answer for each question in this sample exam is option A, which will not necessarily be the case for the actual exam. So the actual exam is not going to be exactly like this. I'll change the wording around sometimes. I'll change the numbers around, but it will be very similar to the questions in the sample exam. And this sample exam is a very good place to start to study and prepare and to be ready to take the exam. So let's do it. Okay, topic 1, definitions, questions 1 and 2. First of all, and this is chapter 7, question 1. Question will be based on the description of 4 process strategies on page 284. Sample question. Which type of process strategy accommodates strategies such as build to order and postponement, delay differentiation within the operation strategy? That's going to be mass customization. So this is exactly the type of question. This is not question 1, but this is the kind of question I will ask. It'll be in this area. So you see what I mean? A is the answer to each one of these sample questions, but the actual question in this case is not exactly this way. The wording is different, but it will be about process strategies. And I'll describe them, and then I'll ask which one is it. Question 2 will be based on the recognition of the calculations contained in the crossover chart. For example, sample question 2. From the table of values, which represents the crossover values between software X and software Y? And by the way, I will give you the question 2 will be exactly like this, except the numbers will be different. And even the answers are this way. And so I give you the fixed cost, I give you the variable cost, and I say which one of these equations are right. And so notice this is a quantitative problem, but you don't do the arithmetic. You look at the equation and say, this is the equation I need to do. And it's proximate because the wavy equal sign is approximate because I round it. I've rounded it to the units digit. Okay, which one of these is right? Well, the first one is right. Okay, and so make sure you understand the mechanics. It's 3,000 minus 2,000 divided by 60 minus 25. And that's what this first equation is saying. Okay, topic 2, forecasting. And this is chapter 4. There are 4 questions, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The first is qualitative and the other 3 are quantitative. Question 3, qualitative, is based on the description of quantitative forecasting methods. For example, sample question, which forecasting method is a moving average with a window of 1 for a stationary time series? Well, it's going to be the naive approach. That's the forecasting method. And so on this one, I will give you a description, much like this, and then I'll say which one of these forecasting methods does that description apply to. I have exponential smoothing, seasonal indexes, moving average, and regression. Okay, question 4 is based on calculations using a moving average method. So here you do mathematics. But sample question, from the table, what is the forecast for time period 5 using a moving average method with a window of 2? Well, notice what I did here. Here's times 1 through 5. And by the way, I'll give you the exact same wording, just different numbers. So like if I'm averaging 2, the average of 2 and 4 is going to be 3. The average of 4 and 6 is going to be 5. And the average of 6 and 8, well, it's going to be 7. And it'll be straightforward like this. You can use a calculator, or a lot of this you can just use by observation. Question 5. Now 5, 6, and 7 are quantitative. So let's do question 5. Question 5 is based on calculations using exponential smoothing method. Sample question from the table. What is the forecast for time period 5 using exponential smoothing method with an alpha parameter of 0.25 and a beginning forecast of 10 for time period 1? So here's a forecast of 10 for time period 1. And so notice what I do here. I do the calculations all the way down to here. So you can see how I do it. Remember, it's alpha times my time series plus 1 minus alpha times my forecast all the way down to here. And so you say, oh, okay, well, this last forecast right here is 0.25 times 0, which is 0. 0.75 times 12. 75 is 3/4. What's 3/4 of 12? Well, 3/4 of 12 is going to be 9. Okay, so you can say 3/4 of 12. Well, 1/4 of 12 is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. So you could do it in your head. But the point is, I give the equations down here, and you'd see here, 0.5 times 0 plus 0.7 times 12 equals 9. Question number 6 is based on calculations using the seasonal index method. From the table, what's the forecast for time period 5 using a seasonal index method with a seasonal index of 1.1? So right here, I have the time, I have the adjusted seasonal, and I have the seasonal forecast. So I have, notice, 1.1 times 10 is 11. 1.1 times 20 is 22. 33, 44. So 1.1 times 50 is what? Well, it's going to be 55. So it won't be exactly like this. I'll change these numbers, but again, the question will be exactly like this, different numbers. Okay. Topic number 3, aggregate planning. And there are 5 questions here. The first one's qualitative, and the remaining 4 are going to be quantitative. Okay, question 7. Question 7 is based on the characteristics of aggregate planning strategies. And by the way, question number 7, I just want to emphasize this characteristic. This question will be exactly like this. I'll say which aggregate planning strategy results in constant, and I'll either say constant capacity or constant inventory. Constant capacity is level, constant inventory is chase, and so one of those two you will see on your exam. And so this is straightforward. I just want to emphasize that point. So this exam question you should get to emphasize it. Question 8 is based on the calculations of a production standard given a labor standard. Okay. For regular time labor working a 40-hour per week, 48 weeks per year, 12 months per year, which is the correct production standard for a labor standard of 2 hours per unit? Well, you can see here, this is month, this is week, and this is year. Okay, and now again, this question is going to be just like this with different numbers. Okay, and I think the wording is going to be the same too. It's the same wording, just with different numbers. Well, the first part, this part here is going to be the same. But I'll have a different number here, and then I'll have different numbers down here. But notice the production standard equals the time standard divided by the labor standard. Notice it's divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2. Okay, but I do it different ways. Here I say 40 times 48. Well, there's 48 weeks in a year, so this is how many hours in a year. Divided by 12 months, this is hours per month. And so this is correct. Well, 40 is 40 hours per week. And so we divide 40 by 2. That'll be 20 per week. So the week is correct, but the 20 is wrong. Well, 40 times 48, okay, divided by 2. Well, 40 times 48, that is per year. Okay, but 2 into 40 is 20, and 20 times 48 is not 80. So again, the 80 is wrong. So in this case, the time is right, but the numbers are wrong. But the number is right here. Okay, because 12 into 48 goes 4, and 2 into 40 goes 20. 20 and 4, 20 times 4 is 80. Okay, question 9 is based on, or you can use a calculator. Okay, question 9 is based on the calculations of a production for a chase strategy given your demand. Sample question: for a beginning and ending inventory, annual inventory of 0 and no negative inventory allowed, what is the regular time production for quarter 1 given the forecasted demand for chase demand aggregate planning strategy? Well, it's just going to be 100. If it's chase demand, the regular time production is going to equal the demand. So that should be easy. And that's just recognition, knowing what you're looking at. Question 10 is based on the calculation of a production for a level capacity given your demand. Again, the first part is the same for a beginning and ending annual inventory of 0, no negative inventory. What is a regular time production for quarter 1 given the forecasted demand for a level capacity aggregate planning strategy? Well, this is different. So now I take the sum, and I give you the sum over here, divide that by 4. Okay, 1,000 divided by 4 is 250. So it's 250. So you take this and divide by 4. And this will be the same type of question I ask you on the exam. Question 11 is based on calculations from a production cost given a unit cost of labor. Anyway, for the production of 100 units, what's the labor production cost if the labor standard is 2 hours per unit and the labor cost is $20 per hour? I got dollars in there twice. $20 per hour. Well, we have 100 units, right, times 2 hours per unit. Okay, 100 times 2, that's how many units per hour, or that's how many hours there are, times 20 is how many dollars there are. So you just multiply all three of them together. 100 units times 2 hours is how many hours? $20 per hour is how many dollars? And that's the labor production cost. Okay, topic 4, inventory. And there are 4 questions here. 2 are qualitative and 2 are quantitative, ROP and EOQ. Question 12 is based on recognizing the 2 fundamental questions of inventory theory. And by the way, this will be the exact, this question again is emphasizing this. So it'll be the same question, it'll be the same answers. Everyone should get this. Just find where the answer is. It probably is not A. What are the 2 fundamental questions of inventory theory? How much to order and when to order. So find those 2. That'll be the answer. Question 13 is based on recognizing an inventory policy for continuous and periodic review systems. Sample question. If you knew ROP, T, the reorder point, inventory period, and the lot size Q, order quantity, then what is the correct inventory policies? And note, the variables will be replaced with values. I'll say given, and I give you the reorder point of this, the T of the, and I'll give the actual values in there. Okay, well, a continuous ROPQ, periodic is TQ. So these are the kind of things you're looking for. Now for ROP, that'll be a number. For Q, that'll be a number. For T, that will be a time. 1 week, 2 months, 1 quarter, that type of thing. And so I'll be looking at that for the periodic review. Now 14 and 15 are quantitative. 14 is based on calculating ROP. For a demand of 50 units a day and a lead time of 5 days, what is the reorder point? It's just 5 times 50. That's all there is to it. And by the way, this will be very similar to the exam, but I'll just change the numbers around. Question 15 is based on calculating EOQ. For a demand, a setup cost or order cost of $20 per order, a holding cost of $1 per unit per year, what is EOQ? Well, it's just the square root of, again, it's a quantitative question, but I give you the equation, and you pick the right equation. So you have to know how to calculate it, but you see the formula that is needed for the calculation. So it's square root of 2 times the demand times the S divided by H. And there it is. Okay? And so you're looking for 2 times demand times S over H with the numbers. Okay, topic number 5. There's 2 questions, one qualitative, one quantitative. Actually, both could be qualitative, actually, because they're both definitions. So, but I say it's quantitative because there's numbers involved. Okay, question 16 is based on definition of the inputs to an MRP, and 17 is the outputs of an MRP. Well, which input to an MRP contains the gross requirements of the end item? Well, it's going to be the master production schedule. You have the master production schedule, bill of materials, inventory records file. These will be the 3 answers, but on the exam, I will describe something up here. I'll describe something and say, which one of these is it? So come knowing the definition, or have it prepared. Here's a definition of those three things, and know how to identify it. Question 17 is based on definition of the output of the MRP. Well, the output are numbers. Okay, so what is the inventory policy? Okay, and this would be the exact wording, the exact question. What is the inventory policy of an MRP? It's the planned order release row. Now, I say POR, projected stock balance, scheduled receipts. In the exam, I will not put these, I will not say POR, PSB, and SR. I will express it a different way. I might, the planned order release row or whatever, the projected stock balance, the scheduled receipts, the gross requirements, inventory on hand. I will list a bunch of things. But the answer, but this will be the question you will see. The question is the planned order release row. The planned order releases, that's the inventory policy. And that's what, again, it's to identify what is the inventory policy of an MRP. Okay. Topic 6, scheduling. And there's three here. One's qualitative, the other are quantitative. Question 18 is based on the characteristics of priority rules. The characteristics of priority rules. Specifically, and here's what I'm going to be testing. Specifically, the SPT, shortest processing time rule, will create a schedule that will minimize metrics associated with the total flow in a single queue, single server queuing system. Okay, let me just stop right there. So that's one thing. That's one question I will ask on some exams. Your exam might be different than others. The SPT rule will create a schedule that will minimize flow, minimize total flow. But I say metrics because it could be minimize flow, it could be minimize average flow, it could minimize the average number of jobs in the system. All those are metrics associated with total flow. And Johnson's rule will create a schedule that will minimize the total processing time in a single queue, 2 servers in series queuing system. And so that's the Johnson's rule. So I'll ask you either about the SPT rule or the Johnson's rule on your particular exam. Which priority rule will create a schedule that will minimize the total flow? That's the SPT. Let's say, okay. Question 19 is based on determining the first job using the priority rule for a single queue, single service system. Question: from the jobs arriving at a single queue and single server queuing system, what is the first job scheduled using the earliest due date priority rule? Well, the due dates are here, and the earliest due date between 10, 12, and 14 is 10, so X is your answer, and there it is. And that's all there is. And this question will be exact, will be just different numbers. And I could have different rules in here. That could be changed. The numbers will be different, but you will have X, Y, and Z. The structure is the same. Question 20 is based on determining the first job using Johnson's rule for a single queue, 2 servers in a series queuing system. From the jobs arriving at a single queue and 2 servers in series queuing system, what is the first job scheduled using the Johnson's rule? Okay, so first of all, you find the minimum processing time, which is 1, and that is on the first, that's on the first server, work center 1, and so X is going to be in the first job. And then 2, that is on the second server, so Y is going to be at the end, and then Z is in the middle. So this schedule is X, oops, let me do this. It's going to be X, Z, and Y. X is first, Z is second, Y is last. Okay, well, that's question number 20. You know, one thing I want to put in here is there are 3 steps that I want to emphasize, and I think I'll put this in here before I post this, but I'll say it now. One is the read. Let me do it this way. Let's bring this to the middle. And let's make this bigger because I want to emphasize this. 12 big enough. 1. Whoops. Okay, 1. Read question carefully. Make sure you read the question carefully. Mistakes people make is they read the first part, oh, I know what this is, and then they answer it, but that's not what the question is. So make sure you read the question carefully and know what that question is before you answer it. The second thing is read answers carefully. In other words, read the answers. Here's the answers, and so here's the question, here's the answers, and so you say, oh, here's what's being asked. I don't know which one of these is right based on this question, and sometimes the answers help you clarify the questions. So understand your answers. Like in this case, the answer is pretty straightforward, but some of them they may not be. Now the third thing is and then when you read it carefully, you put these two together. The questions and the answer, you put them together. Because taking an exam is not just about knowledge of the material. It's performance on this instrument of this exam. It's taking your knowledge, understanding the questions and the answer, putting them together, and then connecting your knowledge with that. So it's a lot more than just knowing the material. The last one is confidence. You know what you know. Don't second guess yourself. Don't say it must be this. No. You answer the question from your knowledge. Don't guess don't play games. Don't be gaming. Answer the question based on your knowledge. Read the question carefully, the answer carefully, put it together. This is what I know, then be confident. You put it down and move on. If you don't know it, then you don't know it. Put a number and move on. Don't worry about it. Have a confidence on what you know. You know what you know. Be confident about what you do know. Don't let what you don't know undermine what you do know. Okay, so that's 3 things I think are important for taking an exam. Any exam. Actually, not only an exam, but anything that you have to perform in. Okay, that's all I have for this exam study guide. I hope this helps, and I will post this exam study guide in Canvas along with this video. So between now and the next time I see you, I want to urge everyone to be safe, take care of yourself, stay healthy, finish out this semester, and do well, because keep learning. So between now and then, just take care.